During a given month, there was a total of 23.6 inches of rain. This was 250% of the average rainfall for that month. What is the average rainfall for that month? And with our percent equation, our setup is that our part is equal to some percent of our whole. So as long as we get these numbers in the right places in this equation, we'll be good to go. First off, let's start with the percent. So I know I am dealing with 250%. And remember that whenever you think of percent, you should be thinking of out of 100. So 250% literally means 250 out of every 100. So if we put this in decimal form, if we divide 250 by 100, that's the same as dividing 25 by 10. Dividing by 10 just shifts the decimal one place to the left. In decimal form, this is really 2.5. So this is kind of an interesting problem in that, you're definitely used to seeing percents kind of within that 0 to 100 range, or in decimal form, if you're going from 0 to 100%, in decimal form, you're going from 0 to 1. This is well above that, 250%. So this is kind of a weird problem where anytime you have a percent like that, 250%, it's actually going to be the case that your part is going to be bigger than your whole. It's one of those oddball problems, that doesn't typically happen, but that's what's happening in this one. So reading through this problem a little bit more, it says this was. So what do they mean? When they use this word this, what are they talking about? What is this? Well, if I read out my previous sentence here, I'll know exactly what they're talking about. It says, during a given month, there was a total of 23.6 inches of rain. This, referring back to the 23.6 inches. So when they say this, they're saying, 23.6 was 250% of the average rainfall for that month. Now, another big hint in these problems is whenever you see the word of, whatever is coming after that is your whole amount. So when I say 250% of the average rainfall for that month, the average rainfall for the month is my whole amount. So when they say, what is the average rainfall for that month? They're asking me for the whole amount. So that is where my variable is going to come in. So I'm just going to put an X here. So I'm taking 250% of what average to get my part. So what that means is that my part has to be that 23.6. And another thing to point out here is that if you just kind of think of this sentence right here, this was 250% of the average rainfall for that month. I know I talked about the word is kind of meaning equals. Well, was is kind of like in that same category. So anytime you see the word is or the word was, in terms of math symbols, you want to be thinking of equality. 23.6 was or is equal to 250% of what value for my average rainfall. So now I got my equation set up. 23.6 equals 2.5 times what number? And like I said earlier, whatever I get here for this whole amount, it's actually going to be smaller than my part because I'm taking such a big percentage of it. Taking 250% of something, 200% of something is doubling it. So 250% is, beyond doubling. You're basically doubling it and then taking another half of your value and then adding it in there. So let's solve this equation. 23.6 equals 2.5 times x. To get our x by itself, we would want to divide both sides by 2.5. And these will cancel out. So we have 23.6 divided by 2.5. And you're allowed to use a calculator on a problem like this. And whenever you do 23.6 divided by 2.5, you're going to get 9.44 or 9 44 hundredths. And what are we talking about here? Well, this is in inches because it says, what is the average rainfall for that month? This was in inches here, so this value is also going to be in inches. And notice that that makes sense. If I take 250% of 9.44, if I take 2.5 times 9.44, I'm going to get this really big number. So in this problem, basically, they had a month where they got a lot more rain than what they typically get, a lot more rain than the average. So that's why you have that big percent there.